Anytime there is a major event in Israel, you know that you are in prophetic territory. Well, that's exactly where we are. Actually, the voting has already begun in Israel. The IDF, the military, already started voting on Sunday. However, the elections actually take place tomorrow, and tomorrow starts in Israel. Matter of fact, it's already started because they start there tomorrow at 6 in the evening. Nevertheless, the voting will commence within the next 8 hours or so, and they're going to be voting for many parties. Now, a lot of people are saying that Netanyahu's party is going to lose. However, just here at the last minute, everybody's starting to say, wait a minute, Netanyahu's the only viable prime ministerial candidate. We better vote for him. And the very, very latest poll says he'll get 37 seats in the Knesset. He had 42 the last time. He may get even more, they say. They had him all the way down to 32 in recent polls, but it looks like all that is turning around right now. So, nevertheless, when we talk about, okay, what's going to happen? How will this affect the prophecy? Let's talk for a moment about the prophecies. We know the Bible says that there's an agreement coming between Palestinian and Israeli with international participation. And when that occurs, the final 7 years to Armageddon will begin. Now, Benjamin Netanyahu has said, I will be the prime minister that will bring about a peace agreement. And Netanyahu, even though he has a reputation for being a hardline, the fact is he leans more towards the left than he does the right. You know, they say, listen very carefully to what a man says, and then watch what he does, because that'll tell you what he really believes. Well, Mr. Netanyahu picked one of the most liberal politicians in Israel to be his defense minister, and the defense minister is the most important cabinet position there is. Mr. Ehud Barak was the defense minister all during the first term here of Netanyahu. Well, then Mr. Ayalon is supposed to be in line to be the defense minister, and Ehud Barak said he was leaving politics, he was retiring, but then an article pops up today that perhaps Netanyahu is going to ask Barak to come back as prime minister if, in fact, Netanyahu is elected. Now, if he's elected, if there are no crashing surprises, then he will form a coalition government. We don't know for sure who will make up that government. I suspect that some very moderate type of people. He really doesn't want to be dependent upon the hard right, because if he gets ready to make a peace agreement, which he fully hopes to do, then when he gets ready to make that agreement, if he does something the hard right doesn't like, they could bring his government down and throw him into chaos. Whereas, now he doesn't mind the hard right being in there as long as they don't have veto power over his decisions. So, ladies and gentlemen, the odds that a peace deal will be struck in this term of Netanyahu, if he in fact wins, he would win a 4-year term. The odds that this peace agreement will happen during this term are extremely high, according to the prophecies of the Bible. Now, we don't know that for sure, but the way everything is coming together, it just looks like it can't wait that much longer. So consequently, we're watching high drama here, high prophecy drama here, as we're watching the pros and the cons. You've got Mr. Bennett, who is over it's the Judea party. It's Israel, our home. And he doesn't want a deal at all, as far as he doesn't want to create a Palestinian state at all. But he said, if you do, then give them parts A and B, and we'll just keep C. Well, anyway, nobody says that he can get elected, but he's gaining in power. They expected him to have 6 or 8 seats, and now, according to the polls, he's up to 14. So he's becoming the third, if not the second largest party next to the Likud party. So this whole thing is converging together. It's going to be high drama, high excitement as we're watching what all this means. Of course, at the same time, today was the inauguration of President Obama. I've been on a plane. I haven't had a chance to read the speech that he made yet. Nevertheless, you're welcome to call in and talk about that if you would like to do that. Our number, in case you'd like to be on the air with us, 877-END-TIME. So that's what's going on around Israel today. I am actually in Santa Ana, California. I'm going to be on with Paul Crouch tonight on TBN, and we're going to be talking about the Jerusalem College, among other things. Of course, every time Paul gets me on here, he inevitably steers me to the pre-trib, post-trib debate. And because he's really interested in that particular subject, there is another guest on who is a specialist in that. So I just got a feeling we're going to be doing some pre-trib, post-trib debating tonight, although that's not my number one preference. I really want to talk about the Jerusalem Prophecy College, because here we are in January, and we're hoping to open the Prophecy College by this September. So anyway, y'all can listen. We'll be on at 7 p.m. this evening, West Coast time, which, of course, you can adjust that to whatever time frame you are in right now. Central time, our home in Dallas, it'll be 9 to 11 tonight. So anyway, make sure you tune in if you possibly can. It is available on the internet as well as through other media, through television and other ways. So it's going to be a great time tonight. So I'm broadcasting to you from here right now. But I just felt like we had to talk about the election. Jim Stiegelman is anchoring the program back at our office. I'm flying a little bit blind here because we had some internet failures, but that's okay. Jim has never led me wrong yet, and I don't think he will today. So, of course, you don't know Jim. He just may decide this is his one opportunity. You never know what may happen. But anyway, Jim and Mary Beth, of course, were with us in Richmond, Indiana for many years. Just wonderful, trusted people, and God sent them back to us. And I told God, because when I moved to Texas, Mary Beth had been my secretary for 10 years, and Jim had been one of my right-hand people, and I didn't feel like we could bring them because they were such key players in the church. But I told God later, because I would miss them so bad, I said, now, God, if there's any way you could bring them back with us, we'd sure appreciate it. And so he did. So anyway, we appreciate Jim and Mary Beth so very much and all they mean to this ministry. So anyway, that's what's going on in Israel today. President Obama, he is supposedly, according to reports, preparing the world to accept a nuclear Iran. Now, that hasn't happened yet, but some of the statements that are being made makes us scratch our head, because it's like we're stalling. And then what happens one day when Iran just all of a sudden says, oh, by the way, we tested a nuclear weapon this morning. Now, they haven't done that yet, so don't misinterpret what I'm saying. Nevertheless, it's interesting. Another thing that's happening in the elections that I'm sure you would be interested in hearing, the Bayit Yehudi Party, which is Bennett's party. They're the people from the settlements. One of the people running for office, and he's 13 on their list, and most people think he will make it in because they're expecting Bayit Yehuda to capture 14 seats. This man's name is Jeremy Gimple. Well, you know how it happens during a political campaign. Everybody's digging for everything. Well, Channel 2 in Israel played a clip of a speech that he made in 2011. He was addressing some Christian friends of Israel in Florida, and he just made an offhand statement talking about the temple being built. He said, what would it be like if there was an explosion on the Temple Mount and the Golden Dome was taken away, and now the temple's going to be rebuilt? And he just was making that as he's teaching the Bible as a hypothetical that that's something that could happen, but he was not proposing to blow it up. Nevertheless, apparently he wasn't anyway. Nevertheless, that's been aired in Israel, and now the liberal wing is saying, how dare you ever consider blowing up the Dome of the Rock and building Israel's third temple. Matter of fact, let me see if I can tell you what I think Zippy Livni said. The strange list that he is taking to the Knesset seeks to inflame the Middle East and to bring on a third world war with its crazy visions of building a temple. Why is it a crazy vision to want to build the temple? Why is that a crazy vision? I mean, if the Jews don't believe in Jesus Christ, they should be building their temple right now, because there was the first temple, the second temple. God told them to have that temple. Now, I don't think they need a temple now, but they do. They believe they do. And why in the world would people high up in Israeli politics talk about the building of a temple being a crazy vision? Now, this shows you, though, the disparity in positions. There are people who desperately want to build the temple, and they are going to build it. The Bible says they're going to build it, but they're not going to tear down the Dome of the Rock to do it. They're going to build it north of the Dome of the Rock, and so the temple will be side by side with the Dome of the Rock and the Al-Aqsa Mosque. So that's what the Bible prophesies is in fact going to happen. But that's some of the things that are being discussed in Israel today as they enter their day of election. So interesting material. And there are people who are saying Netanyahu is building in the settlements and he's going to fix it so there will never be a peace agreement. Israel wants peace, and some of them want peace at almost any price. Now, the truth of the matter is, Netanyahu, yes, he has allowed them to approve plans for the area called E1, but he's stalling the actual implementation of those plans because he's hoping that his response to the Palestinians being given official statehood recognition by the UN, he's hoping his response of announcing building in Area E1, which would connect Ma'ale Adumim to Jerusalem, he's hoping that response will trigger diplomatic activity and possibly bring about a peace agreement. Netanyahu wants a peace agreement. I am totally convinced of that. He does not want to redivide Jerusalem. Now, how will they finally get there from here? Well, we know. We know how it's going to happen. The Bible says the Temple Mount is going to be placed under a sharing arrangement, and part of this arrangement, the carrot to get Israel to sign this, is going to be that they're going to get to build their third temple. They're going to be asked to make some very severe compromises. Also, many Jews who are living in Judea right now are going to stay out there under Palestinian control, and it's already been proposed. It appears that even Netanyahu is willing to consider that. All those Jews that are living out there in territories that will not become Israel when the final agreement is struck, all of those Jews are going to say, okay, now's the time, now's the time for us to have a peace agreement. So that's what's going on. The debate is hot and heavy in Israel, and probably by this time tomorrow, we may get some reports and figure out somewhat where we are. So interesting 24 hours, to say nothing of the inauguration of President Barack Obama. You're listening to Politics and Religion. We'll be back in just a moment.